Scientists recognize that they're teetering with what spiritualists have been saying for thousands of years, which is that it appears that consciousness is this thing that's outside of space and time, and that it's one consciousness that is essentially putting on a headset, an interface, and that's what all things are. You, me, plants, animal life, everything, right? It's like putting on an interface to narrow down all the infinite possibilities of experience into something that you can actually comprehend. We only perceive 0.0035% of the entire light spectrum.
All right, all right. How's everybody feeling? We back here again. It's Creative Collection, and today we have a special guest, Optimistic Banks. We're gonna be getting into some deep spiritual topics, and it's gonna be a very thoughtful conversation. We had came up with so many questions for this that we're overwhelmed with questions. How's everybody feeling today?
Wonderful,
Excellent.
wonderful.
Bless. Welcome,
Yeah,
Optimistic Banks. Thank you for being here today with us. We
Thank you for
sure.
appreciate
the
you.
So nice to meet you all.
We definitely appreciate you being our first interview for the year. We going through a lot of growth, and I feel like this interview was definitely, once I saw you, I feel like this interview was definitely something to take a look into. We had interest in it, and we got many questions, so we're gonna get right to it. So before we get started and everything like that, I want you to take the floor for a second. You can introduce yourself, give a brief interlude of what you got going on and everything like that. I know
For sure.
you make spiritual music, you do different things.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, so like I consider myself a mystic rapper, philosopher, um, I'm psychic, clairvoyant, and through my music, I like to go with the more kind of like upside of things. It's not all just happy music. It's conscious hip hop in a sense, and with a mystical flair to it. And I have found that in my life of 36 years now of receiving and giving, that giving is actually the best feeling in the world. So I try to give as much as I can.
Yeah, I see that. I see that.
Yeah.
I see that. It's good to get to that point, to get to that frequency, that understanding that giving can be such a great fulfilling thing, A
Yeah.
lot of people don't look at it like that. A lot of people don't really have that understanding because we're so much in survival mode that we don't really take ourselves out of that.
Yeah,
We're just stuck in one zone. So
absolutely.
all right, so we got many questions. Squeaky, I know your question exactly was first, so you could take the floor if you would like and ask this question.
Okay, so the first question is, does anyone ever tell you that you are too calm or too positive? And how did you achieve or attain that level of calamity that you have?
Sure. Yes, um I've been accused of even being emotionally unavailable in this state of stoicism that I have achieved. Um and also I've been accused of being toxically optimistic. So sure, these are definitely things that from a certain perspective can be true. And um what I've learned is that through actually practicing stoicism, and stoicism on a basic level is being in control of your emotions, not letting your emotions control you. Um, and the way that I achieved it was really going through the gamut of terrible things that happened to me and wanting to blame the world for everything, and really being affected heavily by things that would happen outside of me. And so I kind of like almost ran the well dry, as far as like I I was caring so much about so many different things and letting it affect me emotionally that finally I got to a point where I was like, I don't care anymore. And then I discovered stoicism and actually started practicing it, not just thinking about it, not just speaking about it, but actually start practicing it.
Mm,
And just like anything else, the more you practice it, you kind of begin to embody it. And
right.
what I've discovered is that if if you truly are in control of your emotions and you're not constantly looking for the future for your happiness or and thinking about the past to make you sad, but just kind of letting everything flow through you, it's actually more amazing and more magical to kind of like reserve your elation, reserve your anger, and just kind of let it all flow through you. And through that, um, it's almost like you're tricking the universe to send you more surprising things, more amazing things to kind of like pique your
Right.
emotions out of it. Yeah.
How did you stay consistent on that path? Did you start off meditating as well?
So my path began, I had a near death experience in 2021, um, doing a psychedelic called DMT. I was at a low point in my life where I had just lost like my career that I had built. I was starting to kind of lose my mind. I was getting addicted to drugs. And then had this psychedelic experience that, as I perceived, I actually died. And then, kind of when I came back from that, then I started having like mystical psychic experiences where I would have like dreams that would come true, and synchronicities were like really off the chart. Like I'd kept on, number synchronicities. I would think of things and they would happen, and I was beginning to kind of lose my grip on reality. And then, so at that point, my brother, who is a kung fu master of 20 plus years, he was the one who told me, like, you're kind of losing your shit. Maybe you need to start meditating. And then the very first time I meditated was with him. And we had like a mind blowing, mystical, connected visual experience during the meditation. And so I kind of came in through my healing journey, kind of having crazy mystical experiences, and then from that, kind of coming back into my body and learning the healing journey. Where I know a lot of people kind of begin their healing journey kind of in the body, and then eventually kind of have mystical experiences. Mine kind of came in the other way.
Mm. I see. That's interesting. That's interesting. I think that's because of the dynamics of your situation. Going through such an extreme. Whenever you
Yeah,
go through such an extreme, the polarity, and then you use that as a alter it into a transition. You're gonna have something special with that because the chemicals in the brain are affected by all of the things that we intake. So if you do something like DMT, you're unlocking some of your abilities with that drug. This is something that people don't not really going to talk about too much because DMT is such a strong, it's such a strong drug, and
yeah.
it's such a drug with such a stigma. There's probably no known moderation to the drug, so people are going to take it where they take it. But I can totally understand that. That's actually amazing. And I'm glad that you recovered well from
Yeah, it took me a
drug
good two
addiction.
years to kind of materialize back into reality, if you
Took you
will.
how much
I
years?
was about 2 years.
Oh
Like
wow.
I would say to get to the point where I felt like I was back in reality and not in a dream, kind of. Like
Wow.
I was kind of like, I would say manic psychosis, like
Okay.
um and so I was living in between realms, kind of.
You wasn't
Um
sleeping?
Sleeping, again, I was addicted to drugs for a few years, so like that was definitely made it so I wasn't sleeping as much. But I mean, just like kind of like when we have clairvoyant experiences, we're like seeing the language beyond the language. We're seeing the language beyond the symbolism, beyond the things that are happening. We're kind of seeing deeper into the metaphorical existence of all things. And
Right.
I was like very hyper aware of those things, and I still am, but now it's kind of more in a logical, grounded way.
Okay. So I want to address the toxic the slogan of toxic positivity a little bit, but before then, could you get if you can make it a brief example of what you were experiencing when you say like clairvoyant and things of those nature, like what was the experience like?
So, I mean, definitely like when I meditate and I dream, I often will get visions of the future. And sometimes I'll get symbolism or even like script writing of like a message that then I kind of have to break apart, and then something in my reality will happen where it's synchronized with that, or it's literally a vision of the future. But also sometimes um I'll just be having a day vision where I'm just walking somewhere and like I know I didn't just see an ostrich, but somehow I saw an ostrich. And I'm
Right.
like, what is that about? And then I'll look up the animal symbolism of it and it's like click exactly with what I'm going through. And I'm like, okay. So it's like these type of things.
Yeah.
Also like number synchronicities. Um, I'm really big into numerology. So numbers communicate with me a lot. But again, it's like uh, once you learn kind of the basic divine understandings of things like numbers, color symbolism, animal symbolism, um, astronomy, I mean astrology, like all these kind of things, what nature represents, like you'll start realizing that there's a plethora of there's infinite messages and everything all the time.
Right.
So then it kind of comes to like, when do I want to tune into it and when do I not want to tune into it, kind of a thing.
Okay. That's definitely intense. It's just good to see. It's good to see that first off that you can recover from, give some inspiration for people to recover from like drug addictions and stuff like that because those are strongholds that are very hard to break. You know what I mean? So you could use meditation to. That's a good solution right there to use meditation to
Yeah.
reverse something. And I want people to know that if you're going through something extreme, the bigger the opportunity for reversal is. As you see, you know what I'm saying? It's a great example of what a reversal looks like when you're going through something extreme, and then you just use that energy and you flip it around.
Yeah, and I also just want to say that, when I lost everything, it was everything that I thought was important to me. I lost my career, my job, my house, my girlfriend, like everything that I thought was important to me. But the universe does a funny thing when if you're going down a path that like you have like a super clear vision for it, it's probably not your path. You're probably doing something that society has told you want to do, and the universe begins to rip away those things from you that can't come with you to your highest version of yourself.
Mm,
So, and I realized that like all the friends and all the things that I thought I had that none of them could actually come with me to where I was going. So it was a blessing.
right, right. Okay, okay. So before I get into the next question, I wanted to talk about the toxic positivity. Um I want to ask, I want to say like, I think it's something that needs to be talked about because right now, it's a lot of vibration raising going on. It's a lot of people switching to vegan. It's a lot of people going deeper into their religion. It's a lot of people bettering themselves, people going to the gym. I even spoke about a prediction about the gym and everything like that. But nonetheless, though, too much of anything is no good.
Mhm.
Too much of anything is no good. So I came to the conclusion that, besides trying to not unnaturally put myself in a state of going up and up and up, is just like you say in a sense, accept the moment. Yeah, make it better. Accept the moment though. And I decided that, I'm focused on a authenticity frequency a bit more because that way I can allow my imperfections to go without me shaming myself for every little imperfection I got. I feel like all of this positivity is being proposed to be toxic because we turn it, it's to getting to a point where it's like, oh, I just ate a piece of meat. Oh man, it's almost like it's like kind of like similar to like how religion made me feel a little bit. So I think the authenticity is something that needs to be something that needs to be just not even talked about too much. Something that needs to just be embedded a little bit and more accepting of everything, like the acceptance frequency. And I wanted to ask, since you are so positive, and since we do need more positivity in the world, what would be your idea to how do you manage it and introduce positivity to the world in a matter where it's not overwhelming and it doesn't actually become toxic?
Well, just for me, this is my authentic self. It does not, it literally takes no energy from me. I don't have to pretend in any way. It's like the inner child in me that knew that the world was magical. That's actually who I truly am. And the ego is hard to keep up with and it weighs a lot. But who I truly am is this child who believes that everything is magical. And I truly believe that everyone is God manifesting their own universe. So whatever is fits into your natural flow is what you should do. And that everything is perfect and yet can be improved at the same time.
Yeah, I love to hear that type of message because I just think that that's just where it needs to be. That level of acceptance will allow knowledge to be altered to a paradigm that's gonna make things flow in a harmony state. Besides trying to make it seem like it's some type of indoctrination where you don't do this, you're wrong. And kind of get people to a natural state of doing things that are positive for themselves and that feel good and that help others, rather than feeling like, I have something I want to do or I can't do this wrong. Somebody thinks this, somebody thinks that. You have the abundance and the knowledge to accept these things now and to flow into the better things, the process, the growth, the love. Because for somebody that's dealing with heartbreak, you tell them about love, they're not gonna really want to hear much about love at that moment. And love is one of the
Yeah.
most important things in the world, but they're not gonna want to talk about love for that time period. Like I'm sure you didn't want to talk about love when you were going through your drug phase. Somebody said something about love, you probably took more drugs at
Yeah,
that time. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
And
Royalty.
that's where the discipline comes into play because it's like, if we just focus on what the good feelings and then run away from the bad feelings, there's not a lot being learned. And we are here to learn, but also to not suffer, right? So there's like a fine line between discipline and not suffering and the doing and the not doing. And just like, don't feel guilty about like if you're doing something like, you're having a lazy day, don't feel guilty about that. Fully embrace it because then it's like you're really purging yourself of that. But if you're kind of like feeling guilty about it, then you're kind of pushing it away and it still has you. So, discipline without suffering.
Right, right, yeah, and that this
Um,
is something that is something that needs to be, as I said, something that needs to be. At the end of the day, all of the energy, that I think from what you're saying, you sound like you're extra sensory, which is something I'm new to. I watch a lot of tail, and I think that all the energy that we put out here it puts the world on a certain frequency. And
Yep.
at the end of the day, and the frequency of guilt mixed up with egoism is a very difficult threshold, a difficult combination that a lot of us are dealing with. It's why we can't connect with a lot of people that'll help us get further to our higher self and so many things. But that's all I want to say about this right now at this moment. Royalty, you got anything to say before I ask this next question?
yeah, damn, I kind of lost my train of thought. Okay, yeah, I remember now. How do you know the difference between the universe sending you a message versus you just kind of like making something up or just, yeah, pretty much just making something up?
That's a great question. So essentially, when you are telling the truth and following your passion, it's always God, the universe channeling through you. So it takes a little while to kind of like I come from a world of sales. I was a salesman and a sales manager for 20 years. So I would like literally lie to like through my whole like professional career. Or I felt like I was lying. I mean, I was lying. So I kind of had to work through like retraining myself to not lie anymore. And that comes down to realizing that anytime I lie to somebody else, I am lying to myself. And through that practice of constantly telling the truth, handling things as they come up, you begin to get in this flow. And when you're following your passion, which is literally the feeling, the pull of what God, the universe wants you to do is your passion. That's why it's your passion. When you're following that and you're speaking the truth, it is God and the universe flowing through you.
Wow, that's amazing. Okay, one more question before we move on. Um, Damn, there's so many questions. I'm trying to figure out a way how to ask this because I have like so many like questions on this one topic. But hate, right? How do you handle hate?
Ooh, gave me the chills when you asked me that. Buddha once said, if I don't accept the hate, who does it belong to? So what I've also noticed is that if the universe is like a computer, let's say metaphorically, that there's like an algorithm that's trying to figure you out. So when you're at the beginning of like a journey, you don't even quite know who you are. And just like on Instagram or TikTok, when you're kind of at the beginning of like expressing who you are, you'll get a lot of haters coming in. But then the algorithm kind of starts figuring out who you are and it stops showing your content to people that would be potentially haters. But then you reach like a new plateau where you've become, the world has become more aware of you, which manifests as you being more popular. Then again, you'll reach a new level where more people who might not align with your message are coming in to show you hate. But on a secret level, a hater is actually like a fan in disguise because they have an opinion and they want to have a conversation. They just don't quite know how to have it yet. But ultimately, like, yeah, um, there's a story of Buddha where there is a man that was like heckling him while he was speaking and kept heckling him. And afterwards, the guy came up to Buddha and was like, "What the heck? Like, how come you didn't do anything?" And he was like, "If I don't accept the hate, who does it belong to? It belongs to the person trying to give it to me." And it's like there's a chain that happens where it's like you hate somebody, then they hate on somebody, then they hate on somebody. But you, as the subjective observer of your reality, can be the one that starts and stops the chain.
So basically, don't entertain it. Basically.
Yeah, I mean, if it really bothers you, then there's something that that person has struck a chord within you that you actually don't like about yourself. So once you kind of like illuminate that like I like the things about me that are my dark side, and I like the things about me that are my light side, there's almost nothing anybody can say to me that'll really hurt me. Um, and just to it's a constant practice. We have to keep on dipping back into the well and keep on expressing ourselves and remembering who we truly are, because it's like if someone told you, "Hey, you're the worst bull rider I've ever seen," that wouldn't really affect you, right? You'd
No.
almost laugh at that. You have no identity to it. So it's almost like when you realize that like you're not really a person, you're kind of like this, the only thing that exists, the universe, like God in playing a character in this temporary form. It's almost laughable when someone tries to throw shade at you.
Right. Wow,
Yeah.
that's amazing. All right, Design. Let's you will do the next question. I'll do the third.
My next question basically is, do you deal with Aminism?
Yeah.
So what made you come to the point where you accept Aminism?
So just like what I discovered is that like in this moment, there's infinite things happening on earth. Like in this moment, a child is being born and taking its first breath, and in that moment, don't we feel good? Yeah, we feel amazing. In this exact same moment, there is a baby who's taking its last breath and who's dying. Do I feel sad in this moment? Yes, I do. um so everything nothing is really good or bad, and it's like almost like every bad thing leads to a good thing and every good thing will eventually lead to a bad thing. It's kind of like just this happening. And what I have discovered is that um there are times when to be fully immersed in the experience is beneficial to learn, but there are other times where it's more beneficial to kind of sit back and just observe and kind of just discover what am I supposed to learn from this? And sometimes I'm not supposed to learn anything. Sometimes I'm just supposed to be in awe of the situation. But for the most part, I recognize that nothing has built-in meaning. I place the meaning on it, and I just choose to be optimistic.
Okay, yes, I see, I see. I like that. I like that. It's basically like it sounds like the construct is not you can function in you can function alongside the construct or even be a part of the construct or in the construct per se to do the fact that we are in a construct, but you're not allowing the construct to feel like it's placing you in some type of spiritual or mental prison. You still have like you have like true freedom of your mind. You're not really worried about these different things, these sayings, these old tales and stuff like that. You more so are a free spirit. And I just wanted to speak on that because I feel like it's becoming a bigger thing now, and I think it's an important topic to have because people do need to get to know what Aminism is about, and we need to start digging deeper into it, like esoteric understanding and stuff like that, so that way we can put things together. I kind of been talking about religion a lot lately and stuff like that, and how everything is all one and everything like that.
Yeah,
So
once you start learning kind of like those divine understandings, you're gonna then you do the research and you go into the theology, the religions, the spiritualism, the esoteric stuff, Hermeticism, even ancient Jewish mysticism, African, like shamanism. I love shamanism. That kind of seems to kind of go back the furthest for me. Like you start noticing, like they're all saying the same things. They're just presented in different ways. And of course, people get involved with greed and things like this that kind of sway things with control. But at the end of the day, if you learn these divine truths that make sense to you, you're gonna start being able to apply them in every place that you see. And like I know that a lot of people believe that this is kind of like a prison planet for souls
yeah,
and this kind of stuff. And like I said, I believe that everybody is God manifesting their own universe. So if enough of us gods like believe something, then we are essentially are creating a timeline for the other ones that believe that to experience that. But I think that it's all true essentially, but that there's infinite timelines with infinite truths, and I am confident in my ability to go into the timeline that I see, which is not
right.
that.
Yeah, yeah. That's deep, because it's like, it gets into the existence, and it just it's just like, so when somebody says that's impossible, I'm like, we are the impossible.
We
So
are impossible. That's what I'm saying. Like, and
what is
and
this?
people, the fact that you exist is a paradox,
Yeah,
and
existence itself is a paradox.
that's what I'm saying. And like, so when people like to be like, oh, the simulation, the prison planet, like, okay, yes, go beyond, keep going, keep going. Like we're all that thing which is that exists. And there's a magical energy that moves through all of us, and that's that thing that people call God, the universe, consciousness, whatever. And it is beyond the simulation, it is beyond planet Earth.
Right, right. Yeah, that's definitely amazing. It's just good to get insight on a mindset in a more spiritually a free mind and a more free spiritual understanding, because a lot of the stuff that we deal with are oppressive, because the way we break things down, we always corner ourselves. After a while, we corner ourselves, like, nothing's gonna be perfect. It's never gonna be perfect. So
Yeah, it ain't easy, but it doesn't have to be hard. That's what I always tell people.
right, right. So Squeaky's here in the building now. Squeaky, so we got a
Yeah, I apologize for the technical difficulties that we're having. But that's the reason why I asked the first question, because just going off of your experiences that I can relate to, that I had near-death experiences myself, and it seems like when we come back from them, we all have the same story or the same revelations in how we perceive life after death or coming back from it. And so when we talk, we sound crazy, but we sound peaceful or like very positive. And it's like people always ask, why are you so positive? Like how, why don't I hear bad things? And it's like you really you shouldn't want to know the bad things. Like why do you care for the negative things about me? You should
Yes.
just go off of what I show growth from, because you know what I'm saying, before the near death experience, and then when I'm actually like the impossible being, like we were saying, the miracle I'm that you're witnessing, and I'm telling you what I witnessed when I did go in and out, right? It's almost as if it's like being taken for granted, like we get taken for granted. So it's like how can you stay peaceful in a world of chaos, right? So that's the main reason why I wanted to ask you that, because I don't really get to speak to many people that experience that. And it seems like you got to experience that to get to where we are in that frequency. So when Design brought across the platform, I was like, okay, wow, I see why he wants to bring you to the podcast. So thank you again for your time, and for being here with us. So it's good to hear another perspective, you know.
Yeah. If you ever see somebody really wise and really positive, ask them what they've been through.
Right.
Right.
The time is about to go out right now, so
hmm
we're gonna take a break, and I'm gonna send a new link in.
Okay, so we'll come back in like 5 minutes, you said?
It's gonna be, yeah, about roughly 7 minutes.
All right, cool. See you in a minute.
And if you don't see me, I'll see you the next time. And I appreciate you again for being here with us. And shout out to all the sponsors. Thank you for all tuning in to Creative Collection NYC. We'll be back.